Long ago in Israel, Elijah was God's brave prophet during a dark time. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel led the people to worship false gods, forgetting the true God. The land was filled with idols and God's people felt alone. But Elijah stood strong, trusting God's love. God gave Elijah a dangerous mission: deliver a message to King Ahab. Elijah boldly told the king, "There will be no rain or dew until I say so. God is in control, not your idols." Ahab was furious and wanted to punish Elijah, but God had a secret plan to protect his friend. Elijah listened to God's whisper and trusted him, even when he had to run and hide. God's love became Elijah's hiding place, stronger than any king. Elijah knew that with God he could be brave, deliver hard messages, and trust even in the darkest times. When the world forgot God, Elijah remembered, and God never forgot Elijah. Even when he had to hide, Elijah knew God was with him. That's what made him brave. God's presence was Elijah's greatest strength. And so Elijah's adventure began. God told Elijah, "Go hide by the Kerith ravine." Elijah obeyed, finding a quiet stream hidden in the hills. Alone, but never truly alone. God was with him. The stream gave Elijah water, but there was no food. God sent ravens to bring bread and meat every morning and evening. Elijah learned that God can provide in the most surprising ways. Each day, Elijah watched the sun rise, drank from the brook, and ate what God sent. He felt peace, knowing God would never leave him. But soon the stream dried up. No rain meant no water. Was God's care finished? No, God's plans never run out. This was just the next step in Elijah's journey. God whispered again, sending Elijah to a new place. Elijah trusted, ready for the next adventure. God's love always finds a way. Even when things change, God's care continues. Elijah followed, knowing God would provide again. God sent Elijah to Zarephath, where a poor widow would help him. Elijah met her gathering sticks, looking sad and hungry. He asked for water and bread, but she had only a handful of flour and a little oil, enough for one last meal for her and her son. Elijah told her, "Don't be afraid. Make me a small loaf first, then some for you and your son. God promises your flour and oil won't run out until rain returns." The widow trusted Elijah's words. She used her last bit of flour and oil to bake bread. Miraculously, the jar and jug never emptied. Every day there was enough for Elijah, the widow, and her son. God turned a little into more than enough. Through her trust, God provided for them all. Elijah saw God's faithfulness in a humble home. The widow's hope was restored. God's miracles often begin with small acts of faith. Even in hard times, God's love never runs dry. Elijah's journey continued, strengthened by God's care. After 3 years, God told Elijah to return to King Ahab. Elijah challenged Ahab and the prophets of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel. Before a huge crowd, Elijah declared, "If the Lord is God, follow him." 2 altars were built, one for Baal, one for God. The prophets of Baal prayed for fire all day, but nothing happened. Elijah mocked their efforts, knowing their God was powerless. Then Elijah rebuilt God's altar, soaked it with water, and prayed. Instantly, fire from heaven consumed the sacrifice, stones, and water. The people fell on their faces, shouting, "The Lord, He is God!" God's power was clear for all to see. The false prophets were defeated. Rain returned to the land, ending the drought. Elijah's faith brought hope back to Israel. God proved He alone is real and mighty. Elijah's courage changed a nation. Even one faithful person can make a difference. God's victory was complete. Elijah's story became a legend of faith. After his victory, Elijah faced danger again, but God cared for him. God sent an angel to strengthen Elijah and gave him a new helper, Elisha. Together they taught people about God's love. When Elijah grew old, God had a special ending for his faithful prophet. One day, as Elijah and Elisha walked together, a chariot and horses of fire appeared. In a whirlwind, Elijah was taken up to heaven. He never died. Elisha watched in awe, knowing God had welcomed Elijah home. Elijah's life showed that God is always with us, providing, protecting, and guiding. God's love is powerful in every season. Elijah's fiery ride was a promise. For those who trust God, the adventure never ends. God's care is forever. Elijah's story reminds us to be brave, trust God, and believe in his miracles. With God, every ending is a new beginning. The adventure with God goes on and on.